So far on the Emancipation road trip, I'd encountered my fair share of dramas. The usual stuff, you know, like spots on fire, stretches disturbed by helicopters, spawning carp, and obviously falling off my bike. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. I learnt a lot amongst the chaos, becoming more and more confident with my equipment, and as a consequence, this adventure led me to some beautiful and incredible captures, and I was really only just getting started. Stepping up a gear as we headed towards the journey's ultimate conclusion, this trip would develop into something beyond my wildest expectations. The adventure, the landscapes, and of course the carp, all culminating to make this my greatest angling experience of all time. Buckle up as we head on to the second part of this wild adventure. Oh yeah, this is lovely. Look at this. Super lush. Oh yeah, this is cool. I like this. I'm going to have a little switch up again. I'm actually going back to the fin lines. The reason for that is I'm going to be dropping my rigs from the boat. There's a lot of snags out there, so I don't really want to just be kind of casting and leading around and losing tackle and bits and pieces. I'd rather get those big, heavier leads on. As I've only brought 10 leads with me, the idea is that I've got my helicopter leads, because I'm not dropping any leads at all this session, and I've got the heavier leads for the boat or if I'm fishing in the flow. So I'm just looking for a spot a little bit more sort of in the middle, to be honest. I've had great success catching carp, not from the snags, although I will be fishing a couple of rods in the snags. But I always like to just chance one, as my biggest fish from this river, even though they're completely different sections, have all been from the middle. So the hammock just run out of luck. I'm really quite surprised it's taken this long into the trip where I haven't been able to sleep on the hammock, but tonight is that night. Check this out. Oh dear. Yeah, the tree on the right isn't so strong as the tree on the left, so it looks like I'm going to be spending the night here on the floor with the ants. Lovely. That was fresh this morning. All my gear soaking wet through, covered in dew. But we didn't manage to catch any fish. Nothing is shown in this area. So are those big carp still in here? Any water like this that produces big carp once will always generally produce them again, because it has the correct food or the correct balance, you know, in the water for those carp to grow. Whether there's not many left in here and I need to sort of have a bait and wait campaign at some point, but that point isn't now, as 2 days in this venue have expired. It's time to move on. So I'm gonna get the coffees on, or a cup of tea actually this morning, a fancy, get packed up, let's hit the road again.
You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down.
Yep, I fell off the bike again. Riding this thing loaded was proving to be way more difficult than I initially anticipated. The weight was hard to counter at low speeds, and even harder to pick back up. But I hadn't just dived into this project head first. I knew I had to practice. After all, it had been more than a decade since I'd last ridden a bike. And out of that experience, very, very little, if any, had been off-road. So any given opportunity, any spare moment, I was out on the bike, riding the gravel tracks around the lake and around the campo to try and build up that confidence and experience for this trip. But as my confidence built, I decided to tackle more and more difficult terrain. And yeah, I was absolutely loving it. After all, this is a part of the whole experience of this mission, learning new skills and getting out there doing it. But eventually, I would come unstuck, riding up quite a rocky hill with a sharp incline on one side. I lost my balance at low speed and come off. But that would actually be the first of 3 incidences that day, as I came off again and again. But I wasn't going to let that damage my confidence. It was all a part of the learning curve, and I just got straight back on, started riding and riding and riding. Over the next few weeks, I felt myself getting braver and braver and braver and more capable on this bike. But eventually, something pretty bad happened. I've ripped off the under protection, the skid plate, which I guess that's what it's there for. But unfortunately, I've also ripped out the fuel sender out the tank and it needs a new pipe as it's pissing fuel everywhere. But it shouldn't be too much for a complicated fix. Just need to wind my neck in a bit, getting a bit confident when I clear. I guess it was obvious something like this was going to manifest at some point, and the damage was actually quite a bit worse than I initially thought. I thought it was just a fuel sender to begin with and the skid plate, but it turned out to be the whole fuel pump ripped out the tank. And yeah, €1,000 later, I was waiting for the parts to arrive at the house. The departure date was creeping closer and closer, and I still hadn't made any practice fully loaded yet. But 4 days before I was due to leave, all the bits turned up. So I pulled a late shift in my garage to get the bike fully repaired, ready to start practicing, fully loaded for this trip. With my bike back up on 2 wheels, it was time to head off to an adjoining river that was rumoured to hold some very special and unique mirrors. Bit of a ropey bridge, this one. Oops. One just jumped right here, and a good one as well. Proper moved a lot of water. All in casting distance. I was thinking about boating some rods over to the other side, but that was a big carp and it jumped just here. So rather than stress myself out with blowing the boat up, turn my lines over there, you know, there could be a lot of snags in this swim, who knows. I think I'm just going to cast 3 out here, see how it goes. Let's get the bike. With the light fading rapidly, I didn't hang about getting rods and rigs sorted out, ready to deploy to the water. Some quite big sticks on this time. I'm running low on tigers. I've still got quite a bit of tiger nut slush left, so I can afford to put a bit more of that super attractive crushed tigers in. Carp absolutely love them, and I love the results. It's quite shallow there, a lot shallower than I thought, to be honest. Good. Pucker, right, 1 in. I'm not going to fish my drags tight here. So in open water, and the footings for these rods, for these bank sticks, are pretty ropey, to be honest. Right, number 1. With all the rods out, I was feeling pretty confident, to be honest, especially with all the activity I'd witnessed in the swim. I just hope one of those special mirrors would come to pay me a visit. Good morning. God, that was a feisty one. He'll fight so hard in here. See you later, mate. Sleepless night's been a bit of an understatement, to be honest. It's been absolute carnage, but not any good ones. All small commons between 5 and 8 pounds. been quite punishing, to be honest. I think I had like 8 or 9 last night. And although this stretch is known for having beautiful scaly mirrors, I ain't seen any. And I feel really quite reluctant to leave until I've caught one. If I haven't caught one by 2 o'clock, then unfortunately I'm gonna have to reel the rods in and hit the road. See you later. Another small one. Takes just too fast not to be a small one. See you later. And this one feels very different. It's really difficult to quantify the size of the fish on these rods. Yeah, that's a cool one. That's a really, really cool one. Oh no. Come back, come back. Oh, God, sweet, it's just popped out the snag. Oh, that's horrendous. Come on. Yes. Yes, at last. Oh, no monster, but really, really, really cool one. Look at that. She's a beauty. Finally, something that isn't a small common. Yeah, she's no monster, but what a cool carp, you know. One of the things I love about fishing the river, you never really know what you're going to catch. Although I was starting to think it was just going to be literally small commons. But this one's a pucker leaving present. Happy to iron the rods in now. Wonder what the next venue has in store for us. See ya. Get the rods reeled in, hit the road. Yes. The access to this venue was pretty tricky, but soon I would be in my own little slice of paradise for a few days. Oh, this is a proper sick little gravel pit. Oh man, look at this, like being at the seaside. Oh, this is well good. Look at it. So carpy. This gravel pit was a proper good find, and I cracked straight on tying fresh rigs and sticks ready to head out onto the water to find new spots and new carp. Alright, we've seen a few fish jump now along this margin here, out in that sort of scummy bit over there and in front of those rushes. So logically I'm just going to place all my rods where I've seen fish jump. Alright, let's get this one in. Little sprinkling of bait, not too much because we haven't got much. There we go, it's mostly tiger nut slush and a couple of tigers. That should do. Alright, let's head back. To be honest, I've missed these kind of venues for my angling, as Spain is like, all the big carp waters, like big expanses of water, quite dry and barren. But this is just like a lake from back home. It's kind of satisfying an itch in a way. I don't know what the stock is in this lake. You never really know, but if we don't catch tonight or we don't catch any good uns, then I'll be packing my stuff up in the morning and I'll be heading off to another venue. Eating a handful of multivitamins while preparing another disgusting meal, I was intrigued to see what the night would bring, if anything at all. I guess it was all in the hands of the carp gods. That's why you always fight so hard, small carp. Go on, little fella. Welcome to another beautiful morning in paradise. Last night, it was only small carp, I'm afraid. But it doesn't even bother me in the slightest. I'm having the absolute time of my life here. I really, really feel like I'm out here doing it. And I think that's important. For me personally, it needs to feel like when I was a kid and I was going fishing, I used to get super excited. I need to maintain that vibe throughout all of my fishing. Otherwise I get bored quite quickly. But this trip, oh man, I tell you now, if I didn't have Claire and Jamal, I could live a year like this on the bank, just skanking it out, sleeping in a hammock, fishing different places, traveling to wild spots. Which brings me to the next point of this piece to camera. As I've only caught small fish, and I said yesterday, I'm gonna pack up now and see if I can find some other gravel pits. The bite was proper stuck. I attempted to lift it out of the soft sand in the hope that I'd be able to pull away afterwards, but the bite just buried itself straight away again. Oh God, here we go. Let's get it all off. I hoped by removing all the weight, I'd be able to push the bike out the sand easily, and it was a success. But at some point, I'd knocked the lights on, and now the battery was flat. I've managed to push the bike out of the sandy bit, but I can't push it uphill, it's just too heavy. Even with all the gear taken off, being on sand, I can't get enough traction to be able to push it up the hill. So I've put a shout out to some of my friends who live not too far by, and a lovely lad called Samuel is actually fishing on a lake a couple of kilometres from here, and he's going to come help save me. Oh, big disaster, mate.
No battery?
No.
No?
No.
Oh.
Are you forte? Strong? You? Yeah, we push here. Yes, mate. Yeah. Team Nash. Oh. Not seen a single carp. You think there'd be carp in it? Look at it. No rushes. It looks pretty deep. Maybe the carp are down on the lower levels. Oh, what's that over there? The fish? No. No, you see them as well. The water's crystal clear. Okay, cool. Let's have a little. Oh, look, it's nice and clear as well. Right. It's a gravel pit. Not very big, but I have just seen a couple of fish. I've seen two small ones on the edge, and a better one, probably around 35 pounds, out in mid-water. I see something worth setting up on. I definitely think it's worth a night or two. I need to recharge my batteries anyway, so yeah, I can think of worse places to stay for a night or two. Oh, for fuck's sake! I really didn't need to be picking up a heavy motorcycle laden with fishing gear in the blistering heat. And if I'm totally honest, this one really got to me. Even when I've lost my cool, I'm pretty good at recomposing myself and then just cracking on with the job. After all, I had big carp to find and catch, and I wasn't going to let falling off my motorbike get in the way. Making the short ride round to the wild and overgrown spot I wanted to fish from, I would crack straight on with getting all my rods prepared, ready for the night. Hoping we can catch a carp from here. Seen a few now. So the biggest one's probably around 35 pounds. Happy days, that'll do. Just gonna see what happens really, you know. Got to fish one in the shallows, one in the medium depth, one in the deep water. If we see a pattern emerging through captures, then maybe we'll swap out to whatever's the depth that's doing the bites. Right, let's get these rods out. I've actually employed a deeper sonar. I'll just attach it with a little bit of snag leader. So it just sits in the water there, should be good. 3 meters is the bottom. Looks quite soft now. Still 2.3 meters there. Core them rushes are half long, isn't they? It's like pucker carp hiding spot though. Alright, let's just get that at the bottom of that shelf. Alright, that's pucker. Happy with that? Ooh. With all the rods out, it was now time to turn my attention to some personal hygiene. Now, keeping clean on this trip was always going to be a challenge, but with the aid of some natural soap, I was able to give myself a proper good scrub and wash my clothes at the same time. With myself clean and the laundry done, it was time to turn my attention to cooking some food. And that's right, it still tastes disgusting. As I sat back to enjoy another beautiful sunset, I did wonder what surprises, if any at all, resided in this beautiful and intimate gravel pit. The bite was strange that morning, and initially I couldn't quite work out what was going on. As I wound down, eventually I would connect with a fish, and it would seem it had swam all the way from the other side of the lake to my margin. The fight was an odd one, kind of like a dead weight moving really slowly across the bottom of the lake, and to be honest, I wasn't even sure if it was a carp to begin with. What's going on? It's peculiar. So deep, just in its margin even. Oh, it's a mega one. Oh man, yes. Is it in? Shit. No, he's out. Oh, no. Oh, is he in? Yes. Oh, no way. Oh, mate. No way, no way, no way, no way, no way. Oh, unbelievable. Unbelievable. There's another giant. Oh my God. Whew. No way. Yes. From the moment I tried to lift this carp out of the water, I knew it was on a different level big, and now I was about to find out just how big this giant would go. Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful creature. 28.2. Oh yes, 28.2 kilos. Oh wow. It's 28.2 kilos. It's 28.2 kilos. Oh, I don't quite believe it. It's 28.2 kilos. huge. Despite the excitement of catching this ridiculously huge 62-pound carp, I headed straight back out on the water to redeposit my line. Dropping it on exactly the same spot with a small stick and a handful of bait, I hoped there was another bite in the swim before the morning was out. With the rod back out on the spot, I seriously had to consider how I was going to manage such a large creature on the bank safely, especially in this harsh and rocky environment. Claire's actually going to come out and join me now. I know this trip I'm supposed to be totally on my own, doing my own thing, but this unhooking mat just is not really going to cut it. I never actually expected to catch a carp this big on this trip. I know I caught that other big mirror last week, but where I was fishing there had really loads of big, thick, soft grass. The grass was like maybe, I don't know, maybe like that thick. Some of it maybe even a bit thicker. So with this mat on top of that, it was perfectly adequate. But here we've just got stones or hard clay, and I'm not really prepared to take that risk with such a beautiful and large creature. She's popping out now, making a 2.5 hour drive from home, so she may or may not be too pleased when she arrived, but what I'm hoping for is that she's actually bought me some proper food, because this dried water food is horrendous, no matter how you try to put a spin on it. So yeah, looking forward to that, and looking forward to giving her a big hug, because I've really, really missed her loads. I'm a soppy prick, ain't I? Yeah, baby.
Oh, sweaty in there, tell you.
Thanks, thank you.
You're
thank
welcome.
You. Mwah.
What, thank you for a kebab?
Yeah. Oh, you brought me a kebab?
Yeah.
You brought me a kebab?
I did.
You brought me a kebab?
You've been starving yourself, haven't you?
I've missed you.
Yeah, I've missed you too.
No. Beautiful carp. Look at that. Check the width on that, Claire. Proper ridiculous carp. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What an incredible fish. Never could have imagined catching something like this when I set out on this trip. When I thought about what would make this trip a success, I thought, yeah, if I could catch a few 30s and a 40 pounder on the 6-foot rods with a minimal gear, that'd be enough, you know. I never in my wildest dreams expected to catch a carp like this. 62 pounds or 28 kilos for the Europeans. Incredible fish. Totally immaculate. You know, not a mark on it. Perfect mouth. Perfect everything. And a super welcome surprise. Thank you so much. You amazing creature. Oh. Unbelievable carp. Truly. Oh, incredible creature. Thank you so much. You made all my dreams come true. Yes. Oh man. Let's get a beer on. Woo. Yay!
Ow.
With a fair few celebratory beers consumed and Claire headed off back home, it was time to turn my attention to preparing some fresh tiger nut slush and sweet tigers, along with fresh rigs ready for the night ahead. Heading out to the spots, I would mirror my approach of the night before. Despite catching that giant carp, I didn't feel there was enough evidence to warrant modifying my approach in any way. Dropping 3 Ronnie claws with a stick of tiger nut slush attached, coupled with a light sprinkling of bait, this had been the winning formula so far, and with the results we had, I felt there was no need to change a single thing. What a day, man. But today has another piece of significance as well, because it's actually the midpoint of this trip. It's halfway through. So I've got another 12 days to go from here. And if they're anything like the previous 12 days, oh man, this trip has manifested to be something more than I could ever imagine. No doubt I underestimated how difficult it would be. I've managed to adapt and overcome, and I think that's important, not just in your angling, but in life in general. When you come up against problems, instead of just thinking, oh no, it can't be done, you adapt and you overcome and you try. I'm confident with all the equipment I'm using. I haven't had an angling situation yet where what I've got with me hasn't been enough. For sure, things would be a lot easier if I had all my regular kit with me, but this kind of adds to the fun of this trip. If I could catch another couple of decent ones, it'd probably be one of the best trips I've ever had in my life. And that's no joke, I'm not just playing up to the camera, that's from the heart. Right, this has just been one massive, incredible adventure so far, and it certainly ain't over yet. The loss was a burn, but I had no time to dwell on it. Heading straight back out to get the rig back on the spot with a fresh stick and a fresh handful of tiger nut slush. I hoped there was another bite in the swim yet. And it didn't take that long to get that bite. Oh no, don't go in the rushes. Oh, it's gone right in there, deep. No. Oh no. Oh, I'm gonna have to get in the boat. Oh, what's going on? I knew exactly what was going on. Trapping off the night before that I hadn't had a situation where the equipment I had wasn't enough. Well, guess what? This was that situation. But it wasn't really the tackle's fault, as everything on this trip was going to be a compromise. How couldn't it be? When I first come home with the motorcycle, I laid out all my regular kit around the bike, and it soon became apparent that it was going to be impossible with my normal gear. But lucky for me, Nash Tackle are pioneers and developers of compact fishing tackle, and I had the whole catalogue at my disposal, and I was going to utilise that to try and make this project work. The first thing to go would be the bed chair, bivvy and retainers. These would be replaced by a sleeping bag, blow-up mattress, hammock, bank life tarps, sacks and a scope waistling. Boats, batteries, sonar, motors, they all had to go, replaced with a pack raft, oars and a deeper sonar. 10-foot rods, too big. Rucksack, too big, replaced with one RT6 transporter, complete with 6-foot scopes. Clothes bags with 3 weeks clothes, not a chance, replaced with one water bag and minimal clothes. Bulky bait buckets and bait, not a hope in hell, replaced by compact bucket, sweet tigers and a couple of jars of tiger nut slush. Full camera setup, impossible, replaced with 2 cameras, a drone and a couple of GoPros. Scope and hooking mat, nope, replaced by a 4-fold compact mat. Food bag, nice food and cooking utensils, I wish, replaced by water boxes full of powdered food, powdered coffee and a BioLite wood burning stove. By stripping back all my equipment to the absolute bare essentials and beyond, we managed to go from all this to this, which was a lot more manageable. Now we just needed to get it onto the bike. After experimenting on a few different configurations, eventually we settled on this one. It's heavy. It's really heavy. Oh no. What am I doing? The bike felt well overweight, but there was only one way to find out, and that was to ride it. My fears were confirmed, and there was really only one thing for it, and that was to get it back in the yard and strip out some less essential essentials in the hope the bike was rideable. The difference was instantly noticeable, but I just worried about how all this weight saving would impact the angling. And as you just witnessed, the equipment I'm using had its limitations. Now rather than stay here and keep losing fish to the snags, I decided to pack up and head off to Pastures New. There's a section just up here. So the lad showed me some pictures of some really awesome carp from here. Probably like the rest of Spain, they'd be full of small commons as well. But if we could pick out one of those beautiful mirrors, then I'll be super buzzing. This spot here looks pretty decent. Feeling this. I'm gonna sit here for a bit, I think, and take a look. See if there's any activity in the area. And there sure was, and quite a bit to be honest. With a number of fish off the lily pads and some even clouding up, I headed back to get my bike and my kit. Let's get these rods out. Here we go. First of all, I want to get the deeper hooked up to my phone. So it's 2 meters straight away here. That's interesting. Water temperature of 25 degrees. With nice firm spots found just off the lily pads, I kicked back in my camp to enjoy the beautiful vistas that this stretch had to offer, pondering what Iberian jewels may or may not inhabit this stretch. Oh, mental take. Oh, is it in the rushes? Come on. No. Oh no. Come on, stop. Jesus. No. Don't do that. Oh, come on. Come on, this has got to be it this time. Surely. Yes. Yes. Oh gosh. The industrial water pump started early that morning, but it didn't seem to bother the carp. Still on. Oh, second bite this morning. No. Oh no! Yeah, no loss is easy to swallow, but I did have a beautiful mirror in the sack waiting for pictures. Beautiful carp. An incredibly hard scrap too. These river fish absolutely go like hell. But I think I'm going to stay an extra couple of nights here, as yesterday when I rocked up I was feeling really ill, and this morning I don't feel particularly great either. So I think if I just plot here for a couple of nights, I've got fish out in front of me, I can take it easy, try and recoup before heading on to Portugal. See ya. Oh. The action was steady that morning, but unfortunately the carp became snagged up, so reluctantly I took to the boat. Playing a carp from a boat without propulsion is no easy task, and I try to avoid getting in unless it's absolutely necessary. Without any means to counter the fish's will, you really are at the carp's mercy.
No. No.
With the fish stuck in the lily pads, I wedged the butt in between my legs, using the paddle to provide leverage to the upper part of the rod. While paddling backwards, I hoped to extract the carp from the lily pads.
Yes.
And it worked just sweet.
Tranquilo.
Paddling back to the shore, I'd be met by Samuel, the lad who helped me with the bike, who popped by to say hello.
Loco. No, no, no. But bonito. Bonito.
Lovely carp. Give me a hell of a ruck. Go dig him out the lily pads with a boat.
Thanks for coming.
Hola, amigo. I had a second visitor. The local Guardia Rural officer popped by to see what was going on.
¿Todo bien?
Todo bien.
Ah.
Que me gusta mucho la pesca. Like pesca.
Ah, you, pescador? Carpa? Ah, bien.
Yo tengo un equipo de carp fishing también. Me gusta mucho pescar.
He likes fishing a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand. Pogo.
I spent the afternoon kicking it in the hammock behind motionless rods. But to be honest, I was starting to feel really, really ill. And as we went into the evening, my condition would worsen rapidly. It's unlike me to feel ill, but I was feeling proper bad. So much so, if it was any other trip, I would have definitely have packed up and gone home. But I wasn't going to let illness stand in my way of fishing the giant lake at the end of the river. Despite feeling ill, the carp didn't really seem to care, as every night it was small common after small common, and I re-dropped my lines after every capture. But for the last 24 hours, I decided enough was enough. I hung the rods up and spent the day eating and chilling in the hammock in the hope that I'd feel a lot better the next day. Waking up the following morning, I was still feeling rough, but I felt good enough to head on. And with that in mind, I packed all my kit, ready to head off to the ultimate destination, Alqueva. Okay, so we've seen our first Alqueva carp, and they're all really small, no bigger than 2 pounds. So I think I'm going to leave this shallower area and I'm going to head back down towards that water tower bit. This water here looks much deeper. There's no weed poking through the surface. Oh gosh. Oh, this ain't no good, man. Can you see all them small carp just in the shadow of that building? Right, search continues. Oh shit. Cool, what's going on here? Don't like this. Look at this place, man. It's proper beautiful. It's been a tough day today. It's been difficult trying to find them carp too. Like, it's not like I haven't found them. I've found plenty of fish, but they've all been just so small. The wind's really picking up now. The sun's about to set. At least I've got some trees to hang my hammock in rather than sleeping on the floor. Tomorrow, the proper search begins. Like, this is supposed to be the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, you know? It's the big lake at the end of the river. And I so desperately want to catch a nice carp from here before I go home. So, I'm going to crack to it now. Plenty to do. Let's get rolling. I'm just going to wallop this out. Hoping it's not too shallow here. It looks like on the other side there's a lot of rocks, so I'm just presuming that's the more shallower area. Well, we feel when we get a drop anyway. Well, that's a bit shallow. Oh dear. We're fishing. Tomorrow we'll have a proper good hunt about, see what we can find.
fish.
There we go, Portuguese Guadiana River catfish. These little fellas and the microcarp been keeping me so busy all night and this morning. Starting to think it may be not going to happen on this spot. See ya. This stretch is unbelievably stunning. Honestly, it's so picturesque. I really do feel like I'm in the wild here. I was hoping this barrage was going to be the pot of gold at the end of the river, as the Guadiana has some incredible mirrors, and they're scattered throughout the waterway and the tributaries quite evenly. Pretty much every part has some special mirrors or big mirrors in, and I kind of thought this would be the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, as it's the last dam on the river, that somehow all the genetics of all those incredible fish further up would culminate here in this 56 kilometre long lake. You know, it's incredibly big, this water. It's over 30 kilometres wide at its widest point. I think today I'm gonna head out, gonna explore, gonna try and find some better carp. But most importantly, I'm just gonna take in the beautiful scenes, you know, and enjoy the landscape I'm in. I'm not gonna lie, yesterday I was a little bit frustrated when I was setting up. I didn't really talk much to the camera for the fact that I really wanted to try and find a good carp, you know, or a group of good fish we had a chance of catching, as I'd really sort of dreamt about fishing this lake for quite a long time. But I'm not going to let that spoil my buzz, as it is such a stunning place. The fact the fishing isn't that great, you know, it's not the be all and end all of everything. I've got a little bit of maintenance to do on the bike today. When I set out to arrive at this lake, at the beginning of the journey, the chain was making a bit of noise slapping against the guard. And as we progressed on the journey, the sound got worse and worse and worse. So I don't want that jumping off the sprocket. So I've got to try and tighten up the chain and move the back wheel further back so it gets the correct tension on. Then I think we're going to head off exploring.
Whoa! Ah, look at that! There's a hole in the bridge. Oh, I'm so scared of heights as well. Whew.
I had travelled pretty much the whole 57 kilometres of Alqueva that day, and although my search for carp was proving to be fruitless, I was having the absolute time of my life. Despite not seeing anything of significance, I decided to make this my home for the night, and I could certainly think of worse places to stay. I was up early that morning, kept awake pretty much all night by small carp and catfish, but to be honest, that didn't faze me. This place was incredibly beautiful, like next level stunning, and I know it may sound a bit cliche, but being here was enough. Plus, I had a confession to make. Probably been a little bit disingenuous, you know, throughout this film, sort of implying that this was going to be the last venue, as I do have one more up my sleeve. Now, this is a place that I've longed to fish for a really long time, and the access has always been putting me off, as it's about 3-4 kilometres down a real rocky steep bank to be able to get to the water's edge, which I wasn't prepared to do with a power barrow, but I am prepared to do with a motorbike. So I'm going to get packed up and heading off to the very, very last venue. And there it was, the final venue on this road trip. Now all I needed to do was find a way down to the water. Oh man, I really did hope this was going to be the last time I fall off my bike during this road trip. But I guess we can all live in hope. Eventually, I managed to find a track that would lead me down to the water's edge.
Right, I've got the engine off because when I came to take a look at this spot, the fish were right in the edge. And I don't want to spook them if I can help it. I'm not really too sure if I'm meant to be here, to be honest. It took me a long while to find a way in, as there's a fence that goes all the way around. I found a gap in the fence, so there wasn't any signs that said no entry or nothing like that. Oh, this is wild, man. Proper wild. Check this out. There are lots of carp here, and big ones too. Oh man, mental. I'm going to fish one with 2 real tiger nuts, which I'm sure carp always prefer a real tiger nut to a imitation. I'm going to fish one with a citrus pop-up, and I'm going to fish one with the plastic roddy as we did before. I'm going to stick a little stick on every single rod, so tiger nut ones will have a tiger nut slush stick with a couple of whole tigers in there, and the boilie rod will have a couple of broken up citrus white boilies plus a couple of whole ones in there as well. And I reckon my bets are on the citrus for a big one tonight. Absolutely. Carp just jumped just as I cast as well. The rods are all sorted. They went out all sweet. Everyone went down with a nice crack. Didn't feel too hard and rocky, but felt firm, so that was good. They've all gone out with a stick and a catapult of bait around them. So minimal bait just to try and get a bite, as there's a hell of a lot of carp in this area. And I don't really want to start scaring them off by piling the bait in. Plus, I haven't really got any bait to pile in. But for the moment, I need to get my camp built as it is getting dark. Hopefully, then carp come to give us a visit in the night. Well, I certainly wasn't expecting a catfish as my first bite this morning. A lot of activity in the swim last night and again this morning. And I've had quite a few beeps, so I was thinking, what's going on? And I actually think I might be fishing a little bit too far out. So I'm just going to retackle this one up because this rig's shot anyway. I'm going to stick a smaller lead on, which means I'm going to have to step over to a helicopter rig. I'm just going to tackle up now. I'm going to put tiger nuts on because that was the boilie rod, the one that I had the catfish on, and I'm not up for catching loads of catfish. Okay, that's a run. Woo-hoo. And that's a carp. Although fast and jagged fight doesn't normally mean big carp. Christ, if that's what a small one feels like on these little rods, these carp in here are gonna go like hell. Hope the bigger ones are a little bit more slow and ponderous. Hey. Always nice to be off the mark at a new venue. Went absolutely like hell this thing. If the bigger ones go anything like this, then I'm doomed with the 6-foot rods. Yeah, little buddy. See ya. There we go. They weren't too far out, these two, then these were about right. See you later, buddy. Hasta mañana. Shredder. Oops. Right. That same size again. See you later, buddy. Oh no, my line's just shredding through something down there. Oh no. You have to strip off. Oh god, no. Is it a rock? Yeah, I think it is. Oh. Was it through there? There we go. Oh. There you go. Right then, buddy. Oh, decent one actually. Come on, there's got to be a bigger one in the mix soon, surely. Sure enough. No, it's a double run. Oh no, it's a double take. Oh God. Oh God, what am I gonna do? This one feels a bit snagged up. I'm just gonna leave this one here for the minute. Hopefully it finds its way out. It's one of those situations where you end up with no fish. That's not a bad one. What's all? Right, it's this one. That's a decent carp, that one. Jeez. Absolute carnage this morning. Mostly from carp roughly around this size. Great sport, great fun on the 6 foot rods. I'm hoping to catch some of them big ones we see yesterday, because one of them would absolutely finish this trip off a treat. Thank you so much. See ya. I think we're on like fish number 6. The last 2 have been not too bad actually. They've been sort of high 20 pounders, low 30s. So it's a bit of an improvement from the first carp I caught this morning. They're jumping everywhere. They're jumping in a bit behind me here, out to my right, out in front. Oh, what?
It had been a hectic day on the rods and the cameras, and as much as I tried to keep all the batteries charged, this GoPro was about to run out of luck.
That's the biggest of today's captures. Long, hard fighting, mid-30 common, lovely colour too. Gave a great account of himself. Got a huge set of barbels on him and felt like an absolute monster on those 6 foot rods. Anyway, it's a bit hot now, so I'm gonna get him slipped back. Don't want to keep him out of the water too long.
It had been an unbelievable day's angling in this remote and isolated spot. And to be honest, you've probably only seen half the fish I caught that day. But as we progressed into the evening, the bites all dried up. I just wondered what the night had in store for us.
Last night was a quiet night, but so was the night before. All the action started yesterday once the sun got up. So I'm not really too fast. In fact, I'm grateful for the good night's sleep, as I'm feeling really exhausted now, if I'm honest. It has been tough, but if I could just catch one 40 pounder before I went home, that would really be the icing on the cake, so to speak.
The man has a gun, know how to use it. 9mm brown, let's see what he can do. They pulled out your mouth.
Come on, come on, come on. Yes. Oh yeah. And there we go. Another beautiful, dark, hard fighting common. Come on, the big girls, we're ready for you now. Oh shit. Oh, mental fishing. Oh, it's a filly, man. Look at that thing.
This filly was a proper little sick one, and a welcome interruption from the barrage of commons.
Nice. The wind's picked up now, and the fishing's picked up with it, literally. The size of fish that are showing in the swim now are much bigger than yesterday and this morning. I'm always happy to catch carp like this. See you later, buddy.
It was well and truly kicking off. In fact, it was absolute carnage, and I really struggled to keep 3 rods in the water, as well as all the batteries charged. And that's right, you guessed it, this time it was a microphone. Shame, as this was a proper decent one.
It's been another manic day today. The average size of fish has been really good. You know, I'm never going to moan at catching 30-pounders, even though they all look very, very similar. For me, it's great sport, and I really thoroughly enjoy it, you know. Don't get me wrong, I love chasing big uns and catching big uns, but on big wild venues like this, you know, they're not a given. Sometimes you've got to wade through some of these smaller fish, but to be honest, these ain't really small. The food and the filming have definitely been the hardest thing about this trip. Like, I've thoroughly enjoyed this adventure, and it's not over yet. I've still got one more night left. Another decent one. Oh, God. Love this. I love it. Non-stop rippers, non-stop carp, all decent size. Just praying for that biggie next. There we go. Oh. Another beautiful one. Such lovely colours. This one's got a bit of a different shape actually. It's a little bit different to the rest. No. No! Ah! Another mega one. Oh, I'm really gutted about that one that just swam away. These carp are mega. Really want to take a picture of him, but I actually feel like just let him go back. For a picture. Come on.
While I was getting changed after the soaking I had from the previous 2 captures, my rod went busting off, which means I was left with no choice but to play this carp in my underwear.
Getting up there, that one. And that's close to 40 pound. Mega fish. Like all the others, super hard scrapping. Come on the slip D with a little mesh of tiger nut slush and some tiger nuts. Really enjoying catching these. These fish are absolutely cracking. Look at them. Proper minters, hard fighting, lovely colour. What else could you want? Thank you.
I was proper gassed with this carp. At just a smidgen under 40 pound, it was close enough to my target to crown this my all-time favourite trip ever. And with plenty of carp still in the swim, the action had no sign of letting up whatsoever.
30 pound of that. I love catching these carp, but I don't feel the need to photograph every single one of them. Right, lovely mint. Mint common. Who's gonna send you back, mate? See you later.
It had been a phenomenal day's angling, and I couldn't quite recount the last time I'd had so many fish in one day. But as we headed into the evening, for the first time, the action continued too.
I can't quite believe this is the last morning. It only seems like last week I was packing the bike ready to head out on this road trip. But 3.5 weeks have passed since then. And what a 3.5 weeks they've been. In fact, it's been the greatest fishing experience of my life. And that's no joke. I haven't broke any equipment or even myself on this trip. And I guess that's a testament to the gear. The rods have been unbelievable. Yeah, for sure at times they felt undergunned. But look at the carp I've caught on them, man. You know, it's pretty impressive to be fair. And that 62-pound mirror, I actually think that's possibly the biggest fish ever caught on a 6-foot scope. The reels, they've been absolute machines. And considering they're from our cheaper line of reels, they're pretty impressive to be honest. They've been underwater, they've been in the sand and grit, and they still work absolutely fine, like brand new. I think my favourite bit of kit that's new to me on this trip has certainly been the Bank Life tarps. I'm going to use that in my fishing from now on so much, as it's such a versatile shelter. Perfect for staying out the sun in the heat, providing a bit of shelter from the rain. And its compact size for me is just perfect, which I guess brings me on to the bike. Has it made the fishing easier in this trip? At times yes, at times no. I wouldn't be in this swim now if it wasn't for the bike, and a couple of others also along the way. But I tell you what the bike has done. It's made this trip a whole lot of fun. And that's really important in carp fishing. I think in the modern day scene, people can get distracted a lot by social media and take things a little bit too serious, you know. And the bike has definitely put that fun element back in for me. And that's what it's all about. So who knows where this idea will take me next, to a different country, maybe even to a different continent. But before I start dreaming about all that, I've got one really cool carp from last night in the sack. So I think we're going to get him out now, do a few pictures, and then pack up and head off home.
Honestly, I was so gassed to show you guys such a beautiful carp before I had to head off home.
No.
Or maybe not.
It's going.
It ain't nothing like a fist full of cash or a bliss full of the hash that twists like a mustache from end to end, spread it like a rash from talking through your Walkman or at your disco bash. Give me the Tim's Rumpelstiltskin brown, a metal face mask with the built-in frown, a mic to tilt down 100,000 pounds and see how kilt sound like spilt milk clown. Cocoa butter on a very ashy day, fam. Ray-Bans out on the islands of Cayman. Or I break it down for the layman. Band-Aid Soleil for the Central K. And a can of old gold, too cold to hold, slow your roll. Keep on moving like soul to soul, hold the dough. Like a fool stole pity, y'all, for trying to go up against City Hall titty.